Hello and welcome back to Unpopular People.
We believe that listening and learning from each other is key for personal development and success.
Our guest today, Miguel from Chile.
He used to live in Chile but lives in New Zealand now. And he's a biochemical engineer and loves to exercise.
Especially martial arts. In this interview, you can learn what martial arts is and how to get started.
He has a really interesting life story to tell, and you can learn a lot from him. He also tells us about his fasting routine, which we thought was really interesting.
If you want to find out more about our project, visit our website www.unpopularpeople.com.
There you can find the show notes to this episode and the show notes to all the episodes we had before.
It would help us a lot if you would share this episode with your friends and family.
Or if you use the donate button on our website. Thank you very much in advance.
And now enjoy this inspiring interview with Miguel. Let's start. Hello Miguel, nice to have you here in our podcast. Hello and welcome to Unpopular People. So our first question to you is, where were you born and how did you grow up?
Well, I born in Quillota. Quillota is a small town in Chile and it's well known because we have the highest production of avocados. So if you talk about Quillota in Chile, you're talking about avocados. And my childhood was in this small, it's not small, it's a medium-sized hometown. Now it's about 90,000 people. I grew always really related with the farm activities, especially because we have a different kind of trees around my grandparents' house, and then my father bought the farm. Always when I have free time, I'm going to the mountains or I go to the farm. So my childhood was related with that, and also I have we are 4 siblings, so it was really, we was traveling in a pack. We were 6, my parents and my brothers and sister, and we were doing things together. So that is part of my childhood.
Cool. And what are your siblings? What are they doing now? Like, what happened to them?
Well, I am the oldest, for a start. Then the second one is my sister Sandra. She got married a few years ago, and just 3 days ago, my second, well, I'm an uncle. I have she has its second children.
Okay.
It is a girl. Her name is Isabella.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Her name is Isabella Paz. Well, she got married, and in this moment she's dedicated all her time to growing them up. My brother is the third one, Jaime. He's finished his PhD in chemistry and agriculture in the university, but also he has a political career. So in this moment, he's mixing his PhD study with the political career. And the youngest one, Ignacio, he finished his studies about 1 month ago. He was about to start to work, but the crisis with the coronavirus starts, so he stayed at home. He's working from home. He studied historian, I think is the name in English, but also he's teaching history at the same time. So one of the professions is related with research, and another profession, because he studied 2 professions at the same time, is about teaching to children. So in this moment, all of them are in Chile, living pretty much in my hometown, or around my hometown, 15 minutes by car, no more than that.
Okay, cool. Now we know a little bit about your siblings, but what about you? What did you do? You went to school. What happened then?
Oof, what about me? Well, when I finished my studies in my hometown, I went to the biggest city that is close to my hometown, about 1 hour distance. The name is Valparaíso. And I studied over there biochemical engineer. That is a profession that lasts 6.5 years. After that, I worked about 6 years in climate change in the capital and in other places in my country, in Chile, back home. And then there was a huge turn in my life, and I started to travel when I was about 30 years old. So I went to Australia, Philippines, Asia, New Zealand, and then somehow the lives brought me to New Zealand for the second time and now for the third time. So right now I'm living here in Christchurch in the South Island of New Zealand. I just finished a diploma in science last year. I'm working for the University of Canterbury. I'm research assistant in carbon measurements. That in a few words, trees are the best machinery for capturing CO2 through the photosynthesis. So we are taking some measurement of the trees in the field, native tree from New Zealand, and we are relating the growing of the tree, the biomass, with the carbon sequestration, so that we can have an idea how much carbon dioxide those trees have been capturing in the last 20, 30 years. So that is what I was doing in the last few months here. But, everything changed. So now I'm at home with my girlfriend. I'm studying a little bit about statistical and some software that are important in science because I have a lot of free time now. And yes, eating good, doing my training, enjoying the life actually, reading a lot. That is everything that happened in the last few weeks.
Cool. So, can you tell us the name of your course again, or what you did? Biochemical engineering, or?
Yes, biochemical engineer.
Biochemical engineer. Why did you choose to study biochemical engineering? And did it come from your parents, or why have you chosen the subject? It's a really particular thing, really specific. So I'm curious, how you decided, I want to study this.
That is a really good question. First of all, when I was a child, I was really curious. So I really like physics, chemistry, biology, and maths. So at some point, I thought that my way in the life is going to be studying something related with science. But in science in Chile, you have a really few possibilities of jobs. So at some point, I discovered this profession that it was in the only place where I can study that profession was in this city, Valparaiso. And I start to see that they have a really good balance between science, maths, and apply the knowledge of everything that you get from the science, you can apply for development technologies. So I got really curious about that. And I saw in biochemical engineering a really good opportunity for get really a lot of knowledge in different fields and then try to find my way in life. So when you say biochemistry, you are talking about many things. You are talking about human biochemistry, microbiology biochemistry, tree biochemistry. In all of them, you can see different patterns, how we produce energy, how we process our compounds that are our food. By having a knowledge about that, you can use trees, use bacteria for producing whatever you need, proteins, vaccinations, alcohol, beer, cheese, whatever.
Interesting. Cool. And you said when you were 30, you started to travel.
Yes.
So to which countries have you been so far? And what was your journey?
Well,
and why did you decide to start to travel?
Well, I had a small journey when I was in my 20s. I went to Argentina because of martial arts. I was training Kung Fu in Argentina for a month in a monastery that is there. Then I went to Europe and I was traveling for 1.5 months in Europe and Morocco. And then when I turned 30, I decided that I want to travel and see, and I want to train with real masters of martial arts. Go to different islands, seek somebody who is good in what he's doing, and training with the one who is the one who create the style or have the highest rank in the hierarchy. So at that point in my life, I was working as a project engineer in a company. They were in climate change too. I was kind of a bit unsatisfied that in the capital, I found many places with people who practice martial arts, but no one then had been in Asia. So I decided if they cannot go to Asia, I can go to Asia. So for a lapse of 1 year, I was training hard, I was saving money, and I was planning this trip and go to Philippines to train one really weird martial art that I found that some people from Spain and France, they told me about that. So I left my job, I left everything, and my first country in the union was Australia, because at that point in my life I didn't speak English. So if I want to communicate with somebody, I need to start in a country where the people speak English. So for 3 months I was doing my best for learning English in the hard way. So I got to one point, I tried to survive, I tried to express myself in the best way, and then try to, copy the same sentence that other people do. And then when I build like a basic and decent level of English just for communicating, and I saved money also, I went to the Philippines to meet this master of martial arts. He's practicing arnis, and introduce myself. I'm Miguel here. I'm coming from Chile. I want to learn what you are teaching. I see that the thing is really interesting. My master is a really kind person, so after doing some questions, we say, okay, you can try my style. I will teach you what I know. And the first question, of course, what do you want to learn that? And it said that your martial arts have a really defensive approach, something that really makes sense for me, because I'm not...
What kind of approach? Sorry, what kind of approach? Can you say it a little bit slower?
Yes, defensive. You can train some martial arts where you learn how to harm somebody, but this martial arts in general is more reactive, a situation where you need to defend yourself. And it's really hard approach when you are thinking in defense instead of attacking. So I explained that this way of thinking empathize with how I'm thinking. I really want to learn that. So after that, he heard that, he said, okay, I will teach you. And then he said something really funny. He said, well, because he knew about me, that I'm coming from South America and want to train. He said, the first thing, he said, well, I was expecting that you were a bit taller. And I said, why? Because he has many of his students are from Europe, and he has one student that is 2 meters 5 centimeters. So it's a huge guy. And most of the people are training military, or they are training policemen, or they have a really huge group of training related with the public force. So then I arrived a small guy with curly hair, really thin, from South America. So for him, I think it was quite unusual. And I also was the first Latin that I was training with him.
So what do you think is what is so fascinating for you about martial arts? What makes it fascinating for you? I mean, you said, of course, like the one particular style you trained on the Philippines was more because it was defensive. It was more like for defense yourself, or defending yourself. But what is for you? What's the fascinating thing about martial arts?
Yeah, and maybe some people don't know what it really is. So maybe you can explain a little bit.
Okay. Well, I think everyone should find a way to challenge themselves in the life, so that can have a personal growth. Some people find that in running 80 or 90 kilometers in ultramarathon. Other people are really great climbers, and climbers are a really hard sport where you need to face danger. Other people probably are more passive, and they prefer to challenge this way in more intellectual way, like maybe playing chess or doing another thing. In my case, I found in the martial arts the way that I can get the best of myself. Yeah, because you need to face fear, you need to face pain, you need to face some really hard training that sometimes you don't want to complete, but then when you complete, you just feel that you are pushing a little bit out your limits, and you are getting your comfort zone bigger. That is the thing probably that fascinated the most, is that for doing well in whatever you choose, even if some intellectual or physical activities, you need self-discipline. And I found that I can apply my self-discipline really well when I'm doing martial arts. Well, for people who doesn't know what is martial arts, it's really difficult to define martial arts, but it's an art where you pretty much learn movements for defense yourself, but also you can learn movements for attacks others. So there is different approach. Sometimes these movements are in a context of philosophy, because there is some martial arts that are coming from Japan or from China that are related with Buddhism and related with the tradition. So sometimes you get some part of this philosophy. There is another martial art that are more like playful, like capoeira from Brazil, where you play music while you're training and you need to keep some rhythm. So there is different. It's a wide range of martial arts in general. I stick with the simple. I want something really practical, simple, and that is more related with how the human body could react in a conflict. That is the thing that I was looking for, and I found that one in arnis from the Philippines, especially in the style that I'm working, because there is, I don't know, 30 or 40 kind of type of style of arnis, or maybe even more, because they have more than 7,000 islands. So every island has a different style. We have thousands of styles. Yeah.
Can you tell us again the name of the style, or like the name of the martial art you learned in the Philippines? What's the name of it? And can you explain what it's
Yes.
what do you do in this kind of style?
Okay, the name of my martial arts that I'm learning and I'm teaching to is Barao Sukbo. It is a martial art that the master, Eduardo Cenizas, is teaching in Cebu Island, in Mandaue City. And it's about it's a comprehensive system for defend yourself against any attack with a knife or any short weapon that could kill you, literally. Yes, and it's about how you could defend yourself when you don't have anything in your hand. So you don't have weapons. The people who knows more in this style, they attack you and teach you how you could defend yourself, so that to improve the chance to get out of this conflict with the less damage, without being hurt, actually. Yeah. And well, of course, before you start to learn the movements, the first consideration is you should avoid the conflict. You should avoid the conflict under any conditions. So if they ask you for money, give you money. And if you ask you for, I don't know, for your wallet or anything else, giving that. Because if you enter in the conflict, it's too dangerous. Yeah. So if you cannot avoid the conflict, or you need to defend the life of somebody else that you love, it probably is the best chance to do something and have these kind of tools that you will train every day for get out of the conflict.
And why did you start with this kind of sport? I call it sport. So was there somebody in your family or friends where you saw it and from them you got inspired, or what was the reason for you?
Yeah. Well, from childhood, I was really interested about martial arts because of the movies. You know, in the 90s and 80s, there was many movies about martial arts. It's something curious. It's also about, there is a lot of mystic around the martial arts, and I was just curiosity. And then one of my best friends in Chile, Francisco, his name, he told me, oh, we can train martial arts in this place. And I was about 15. And I started with a full contact at that point. Then after a few years, I started training Kung Fu. I trained for 6 years Kung Fu, and then I decided when I finished my studies, I went to the capital. So in the capital, I tried Wing Chun, I trained Silat, Arnis, and after they have like kind of a broad idea of different kind of martial arts, I decided that I want to go to Asia, because that is the place where the martial arts born. I train also with boxing. I'm a terrible boxer, so I still have to improve my boxing skills. But this martial art is one of the things that I like the most of everything that I trained before.
Cool. Yeah, thank you very much. So what advice could you give other people that want to start with something like this, especially young people, or even if you're even older, if you're like 30, 40, 50, whatever, and you want to start with something like this, any kind of martial arts, what advice would you give them? How could you start?
Yeah, well, depends what the people are looking for. Some people are looking for to improve their confidence. If you are living in a place where you feel unsafe, you need to find something that quickly improves your confidence and make you feel safe. So in that case, you can go for martial arts that are more like full contact, like boxing, like Muay Thai, or something that you start to train quite quickly and you get some skills. If you are looking for something that is related with an art, Japanese martial arts like karate, or something like Boabon from the Tibet are really interesting. If you're looking for something like more playful, there are many people that engage a lot with the capoeira, because you are playing in a circle, you are doing some dancing, and you are doing martial arts. So depend what you are looking for. But in general, I think when you are independent of the martial art that you have available around, you need to see who is going to teach you, because it's the person you see that they have a really good, he knows or she knows how to transfer his knowledge, and he can gradually take you to the next level. I think it's going to be better rather than somebody else who take you in the first class and push you too much and then you get some injured. And also that is about the values. Some people have a really approach that you are training that for getting a better person. Some people have another viewpoint. You are training that because you are on a competition and you need to win. So probably those things doesn't is going to match, or maybe it's not going to match with your mindset. So you need to pretty much see who is teaching you, and is his mindset match something that you like.
So, and how is your mindset when you're going for a fight or for a training? So what is the secret? How do you focus on that you're really in this fight now and that your thoughts are not somewhere else?
Okay. Well, when it's a training, I'm really focusing in what I want to transfer. And also I'm really reading what I see my students. Sometimes you see that they want to learn something, but they struggle with some movements. So you need to adapt those movements. I'm not telling you that you need to change the movement, but in the way how you teach the movement. For instance, I was teaching a friend that he's here in Croatian. He was training in Wing Chun. So because I know that little bit of Wing Chun, I explain in this language. I talk about the center line and the center line, and explain how to do the movements in the context of Wing Chun. Then I was training with people who doing karate or boxing, and I would explain you in their languages how to do it, how to perform the movements in the best way. So when I'm training, my approach is more like, if I want to transfer something, I need to wear in the shoes of my students so that he can learn the art in the best way. In a fight, in the last few years, I haven't had any problem. When you start to practice martial art, your awareness about what's happening around gets better, so you have the chance to avoid problems. And I think that is the most important thing. If you are doing martial arts and you have problems every weekend, there is something that is wrong, because your awareness should increase, and you need to avoid conflict. That is the mindset. That is the thing that you need to do. So if you have every 2 weeks some issues, is problem you are looking for the issues, or you are not paying attention what's happening around. Yeah. So in the last few years, I haven't had any issue. So I'm really happy about that.
That's good. We are happy about this too. Yeah.
Good to hear this.
And so, like, do you have you said you have the mindset to, like, for the training and all of this. Do you have a routine? Like, how does your day look like? I mean, at the moment, of course, of the quarantine, it's a little bit different. But how does your usual day look like? How do you, like, build up your day?
Well, right now, I think despite of the situation with the quarantine, my weeks are really productive. Normally what I'm doing in my days, I start every day with some joint mobilities. So I start to move my joint from my neck to my toes, or from my toes to my neck. That could take me 15 or 20 minutes. So I move my joints, then I'm doing some breathing exercises. Some of the breathing exercises are getting popular now, like the Wim Hof system. But before doing that, I was playing the didgeridoo in the morning, because it allows me to kind of meditate, but also work with my breathing muscles, and also improve my sleeping, because you work with the muscle in the airway. It's a really incredible instrument. So after doing that, I'm going to the shower. I take a shower, and normally I take a cold shower. Then my breakfast, and I start my day. Normally, when I start my day, I take probably 5 minutes for thinking how I would like that my day works, and I set some tasks that are priority. I try to pay attention to those tasks. So I have the big project. I break down the project in a few tasks, and then I say this one and this one and this one are the main ones. So if I finish this task today, my day is done, and everything is extra thing. So in a few days, win your morning with your day. So if I have a really good morning and I do these few things, my day normally flows smoothly. Yeah. And then when I come back home, but now I'm at home every day. Normally I have my training. I have depend of the day. I have different training, but normally I have 3 times a week strength training that I'm doing with kettlebells. and 2 or 3 times a week I'm having my martial art training, and once or twice a week I'm teaching martial arts. So that is pretty much how I distribute my week. Normally weekends are slightly different because I like to go to running to the mountains, so that the feeling is way much better. And there is no training that I can do at home that can match to go and run to the mountains and go hips up and hip down every time. So it's the best training for legs and aerobic condition. Or another weekends, I'm going for a tramping, so I stay overnight in some huts. You know that New Zealand have a really beautiful, a huge network hut, and you can go wherever you want and for many days in the row if you want to stay and sleep in a hut. Yeah. So that is how my week looks like.
Wow, so much sport. Great. If something happens, so you said you set your task for the day, but if there happens something that you haven't planned coincidentally, and you cannot finish your task, how do you handle this? So when you haven't finished your task at the end of the day, does it make you sad, or does it make you feel, oh, I have to struggle with it? How do you feel and how do you handle it?
Oh, that's a really good question, because when I'm planning my day in the morning, I decide what are my main tasks, but also I think in the possibility that I'm not going to meet, I'm going to finish my task, because things can happen, and normally things happen. So in general, I try to imagine the situation and make a counter plan. Okay, so I need to do that, but I can do that. I can do this and that, A and B. Yeah. When I finish my days and for some reasons I cannot finish the task, I move the task for the next day, and I try to just forget it and complete my task the next day. Yes, and normally before going to sleep, I do kind of a journaling. Yeah, so I assess my conduct during the day. So I try to see if this situation can generate some positive and negative emotion, and is this situation out of my control? I shouldn't be angry or I shouldn't be bothered, because it's out of my control. The situation is in my control. I have the chance for see what I should do better next time, so that doesn't happen. So that is really important in my day, to assess my day, how it's working my day, and my emotion, positive and negatives.
And you seem so busy. So, like, what advice could you give others? Because you hear so many times, you have a girlfriend. I know that because I know you quite well, and I know that you study hard, and you're really like doing your exercises and all those things. And you hear so many people saying like, oh, I can't do this, I can't do that. And I know that you're also like handling a household with like, I don't know, 10 rooms. so you so many things to do. Like, what can you like? What advice can you give others that say like, oh, I don't have time for this, and I can't do this, and I'm struggling doing exercises, and like, what advice can you give them?
Wow. Now, well, first of all, and then I know that you know that, win your morning, win your day. So you should start your day with energy and thinking that you need to do some stuff at this task should be done, like your morning routine, your meditation or breathing or running, whatever you decide. And if you have breakfast and not have your breakfast, make your room and keep it clean, and then prepare for face the day, because you have a great opportunity to do things today. That is my approach. If I can do everything that I want, it's great. If I cannot do my things, it doesn't matter, because I do at least in the morning, I complete my task. And then in the afternoon, I always looking forward to do my training. It's like kind of like my reward for everything that I've been doing during the day. So I think everyone organize the thing in a different way. Some people prefer to do the training in the morning, but there is some key things that are important for your personal life that you should pay attention when to do it. And you should planning and recording. For instance, when I start to recording, I do my journalist, I start to see the days I'm not doing my breathing exercise, or when I'm not training. And then when you start to see patterns, you can cope with them, and you can find a solution. Okay, I need to do my training 3 times a week. So if I cannot do on Monday, on Wednesday, and on Friday, I can move one for the weekend. And then you can have like you can meet your expectation for the week. Well, in the case of my girlfriend, the thing is quite easy because she also loves training. Even she's helping me. Well, we started a few weeks ago with fasting. So we are fasting every 1 day a week. We have the fasting yesterday, so we start with the lunch, and we break the fasting in the lunch on Tuesday, so we have 24 hours. And we also have morning routines that are quite alike. She's doing her yoga in the morning and some meditation, and doing my yoga mobilities and my didgeridoo thing or meditation. And in the afternoon, after we finish my job here at home, or even if I'm outside, we do some training together and then cooking. And then at night, we are kind of morning person. Fortunately, that is really good. So that we want to go to bed early, so I can do my writing and reading something, and then go to sleep. So in general, our life matched really well. So I'm really happy about that. Yeah. And well, I would say that one of the key things also is sleeping well. For doing everything that you need to do in the day, if you don't sleep well or you have a bad hygienic sleeping habits, you are not going to rest and get 100% of your battery recharged at night. And you are going to deal maybe the next day with 70% of your battery. And you are not going to do everything that you need because you are not thinking well, and you are not, you didn't rest well. So it is really important to have some strict pattern about when you're going to sleep and what you are doing before sleeping. If you're before sleeping, you have 6 beers, probably you are going to sleep bad. Or you have a huge meal, you are going to sleep bad. So it's better to have your dinner early and then go to sleep and give time to your body to rest so that the next day you feel like renewed. So those are some of the things that I can suggest people.
Yeah, cool. Can you tell us a little bit more about the fasting? So what does it do with the body, and why are you doing this?
Absolutely. Fasting is an interesting tool that have some, well, in some traditions have more spiritual meaning, because you are fasting for separate time for looking for the enlightenment, like Christian or Buddhist. But if we're talking about from the biology viewpoints, when you're fasting, in few words, you are not eating, you can have water, and you are restricting your body from calories. So depend how long you are fasting, there is different things happening in your body. Yeah. If you are fasting 1 day, probably we are talking more about some degree of self-discipline. But if you are fasting for 2 or 3 days, we can see some changes in the body. When you are fasting and you are restricting your calories, the body starts to use up everything that the body storage. So it's like the body instead of going to the supermarket, it's going to the pantry and start to take things. Yeah. When you're fasting 1 day, they're going to use the glycogen that is storage in the muscle and in the liver. When you are fasting maybe for 2 or 3 days, they are going to start to use the fat. So when they are using the fat, you start to get some ketosis state. But also, and that is the most important thing, they are going to start to use the cells that are old. Or the cells that sometimes when they divide, there is some issues and they are not doing anything in the body. Just they are there.
Like so dead cells in your body, you mean?
No, well, there are some cells that are old, but there is some cell when they are duplicated, just agglomerate with another cells, and they are doing nothing. They are pretty much like lazy cells. So the body start to take all the cells that are not working well or are then old, and they are using as a source of energy. They break down and they use the nutrients, and they are using produce more energy because you're eating. So when you're fasting, you're using all these cells, and some research have seen that at least in animal, when you are fasting for 3 days, your organs start to shrink, because they're using all the old cells, and the cells are not working well, even the cell that could produce cancer. And then when you eat, you have the body takes all the nutrients, all the food, and they replace all the cells for new cells. So when you are fasting, there is 2 things that happen. One is when you are fasting and what happens after fasting. When you are fasting, you're using all the cells that are not working well or they are too old, and then you replace them for a new cell. So it's an instant for the body renew, literally. Yeah. And those are pathways that in a human being for cope with different stress. The body have different pathways for cope with cold weather, with heat. You read a little bit about heat, you are going to listen a lot about the thermic proteins, and with fasting, because when human being was a hunter-gatherer, we face a period of the time where we don't have food. So the body have different way for deal with those things. And when you're fasting, you're using one of these way. And it had really a lot of benefit for the body, because you start to relate in your fat and in your storage. And also when you relate in your fat, you start to get into the ketogenic state, where your body relates in ketogenic body, that is a sub-product of the lipid metabolism, and used as a sort of energy. And you can even have a really good mood, even if you don't have food. So many things happen when you're fasting. I hope that the question, I can answer the question well.
Yeah, we fast sometimes too, but I didn't know really what does it do with the body, so it was very interesting. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for explaining all this. I think it was a great explanation too, and it's like way better than I could have ever explained it. So, but what I also think is interesting. So you say like calorie restriction, and you mentioned different days. So, for example, if you say like a full day of fasting, do you have like a small amount of calories, like let's say 100 or 50? Or something like this, or absolutely nothing, just water? And or do you do like just in general intermittent fasting, so you have like a 16 to 8 or 18 to 6 or 20 to 4 or something like this?
Yeah, well, at the beginning I was having like completely fasting, 1 or 2 days of fasting, just with water. Right now I'm having just 24 hours of fasting too. And I try to practice intermittent fasting, or time restriction eating, I think is the best name that you can find. But sometimes I have issue with because I eat too late. Yeah, but it's if you can stick to time restriction eating, it's going to have really positive effects in your body, because if you see, for instance, the research of Chanda Panda, who was the scientist who discovered about that, you can see that by doing time restriction eating, you can decrease the chance of getting a number of chronic diseases. Yeah. So right now I'm sticking to the easy. I fast 1 day a week, and I try to have my dinner early. Yeah, that is and when I'm talking early, hopefully have your dinner before 7. That could be the best. If you can do it, that you are doing well.
Yeah, we're doing exactly like this. We're just doing the same thing. We have tried to have our dinner really early, like around like latest at 6, but usually we have it around like 4 or 5 actually. And yeah, and then we have our first meal at around 9 or 10 in the morning. So yeah, that's how we do it. And now we try. This week is the first week. On Sunday we will do like a full day of fasting too. We try it as well. So what do you think of like the first meal you take in afterwards? Because you said like your body takes all the nutrients, it takes it all in. Do you think it's of main importance what you eat, or doesn't it matter?
Well, many people say that the first meal is really important, the thing that you take. In my opinion, if you have a fasting of 24 hours, you need to take the food that makes you feel well, literally, no more than that, because it's just 24 hours. If you are doing a fasting of 48 hours, maybe you need to pay more attention. And you need to stick to something that it doesn't make you feel like light and doesn't make you feel anything weird. In general, what is the thing that I'm doing after when I finish 24 hours of fasting? In the next day, I have some food that are restricted in calorie, so I extend my fasting a little bit more. For instance, today I finished my fasting and I had some cauliflower rice with some vegetable, so it doesn't have any carbs or have really low carbs. So I extend my period of carbon restriction for carbohydrate restriction for a few hours more.
You mean carbs in terms of sugar? right? Or you mean like because
Yes,
like all the vegetables have lots of carbs, but in terms of fiber, so just making sure we're talking about the same thing.
Yes. When I'm talking about some vegetable and normal, I'm talking about cruciferous family and some greens like lettuce and spinach. So I try to have something like that. In other occasions, I have eggs with cheese or egg with this broccoli sprout in after my fasting. I try to don't have carbs to the next meal. So I try to extend a little bit the period. That is my practice. Like I think I told you, like it was last year that I had a fasting for 40 hours. Then a friend called me because his friend is going to run 100 kilometers. He need a couple of people who helps to go to the top of the mountain and going down at night. So what I did at night, I was testing myself what happened and do my fasting. Then I turned to a ketogenic diet. I went for a run. We was running about 5 hours at night, and then when I get the next day, I feel like kind of new. I didn't feel that I think anything else. And then I had my carbs. Yeah, it was a kind of experiment, a bit silly, but it's the thing I used to do. Self experiment.
But it's sometimes interesting to find out those things. So yeah, I remember you telling me about this run up the mountain. It was in Chile, right? So
yes.
Do you because you live in New Zealand now? Do you miss Chile sometimes? Is it hard for you, like that your family is there, or do you feel at home in New Zealand now? Is this like your new home? Do you want to stay there? So what is your goal for the future?
Well, I miss my family, of course, my friends. I really miss the avocados and chirimoyas and the fruit that I have because my father had a farm. So it is really different to have your own farm and go and pick out the avocados. I miss them, but I feel at home here in New Zealand. There is something really curious. The first time that I came to New Zealand was really hard. I couldn't get used to. The second time I start to feel that New Zealand give me a better welcome, and I feel like kind of at home. I have really good friends. And the third time I feel pretty much at home. I feel that is the place that I should be now. I cannot tell you about the future because my girlfriend is from Italy. So we need to think about that. Yeah. But in general, I really like New Zealand. I like also the government of New Zealand. In general, I think they are doing really well. They are looking after the population. People are happy with that. And also the mindset of New Zealand people is nice. They are really open to share with you and learn a little bit about your culture. So in general, it's a great country. It's a really great country. And the network hats. It is amazing. It is amazing. So I can go for tramping every weekend, so I can go for a run wherever I want because they have so many beautiful mountains and hills around.
So, what do you think is the biggest difference between your home country and New Zealand? So, in cultural aspects.
In cultural aspects, well, in Chile, at least a few years ago, lives only Chileans. So we didn't have much interaction with people from other countries. The foreigners are really weird. And especially in my hometown, you cannot find, I couldn't find foreigners like here. Here you just need to go to the corner and you are going to find people from Asia, from Europe, from Polynesian island, from different parts of the world, and even Latins like me. So talking about culture, here is multicultural country. Yes. Second of all, well, I'm coming from a Latin country, so we are more close. We are more touching. We kiss each other, hug, dancing, all this kind of Latin thing. Here there is a little bit more distance. So at the beginning, that was kind of weird for me, but I compensate that by having dancing Latin music once in a while. Go for the party, yeah. And in general, my friends that I have here, they are really close. Even I have friends that I'm from here, and we hug each other, we touch like in the Latin way, in a Latin friendly way. So, yeah. I'm talking about the culture. Probably that is the main difference. And something that I realized in the few years is New Zealand is an island. Okay, I knew that it's an island, but people who live on an island have a different sense of community. When you live in the mainland and you have neighbors, you always have issues with your neighbor, this country with this another country, and just you need to move, or you can. That is the thing that happened in Chile with Argentina, Peru, and Bolivia. But when you live in a small island, the sense of community is stronger. So New Zealand tried to face the things as with this kind of sense of community, that we are all together in this, we are all together in this boat, and we need to do this thing together. And I really love that. Yeah,
that's cool. Yeah, we totally agree with you there. We love New Zealand. It's a great place. We spent a lot of time there. I mean, that's how we got to know you as well. And yeah, so cool. Thank you very much. And you talked about also politics and community. And if you would think of like what could they implement into the school system for young kids to learn in a very early age? What do you think is important for young people to learn in an early stage in their life? Is there any like a subject you're probably missing at school, or is there anything you think is really important and like what everyone should learn early on in life?
That is a really good question, because I don't have children. But well, the basic, of course. I was terrible student of language. I learned language. I learned Spanish because I was in an English, in a Spanish-speaking country, but language was really hard for me. Maths was really important because it gave me some kind of quantitative approach to the life. So when I want to take some decision, you just make your maths and you can see the decision is okay. Maybe something that is missing in education sometimes is financial education, how to handle your money, how to do your saving, and how prioritize things. I think that could be important that children learn or have at least an idea. Maybe logic, how to take decision. This have a consequence in this one, so that you have X and Y, and you take X is different than Y for this reason, and X imply Y. When you are thinking about this, something you need to know that all your decisions are going to have some consequence. Yeah. And the mix of different decision or alternative could have different consequences. So maybe that could be something important. Physics, biology, chemistry, I think have the basic. It is important too, because as a humanity, we have been done a really big effort for growing the knowledge in those areas. So you can give back about that to the children. It's important that they have the basics. And for sure, a history about the place where you're living, so that you can build identity. If you don't have identity, you cannot face the world. Yeah. But if you know what happened in your land, and you can know about your history and also your background, because, for instance, there are some foreigners living here, they probably need to do a bigger effort because they need to know about the background. You can build your identity, and that also helps to face the life.
Thank you. Our podcast's name is Unpopular People. So, but imagine you would be popular all over the world.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So imagine this. So for everybody, popular means something different, I know. So think about, what does it mean for you, and what would you do with this power if you had the popularity power?
Wow. Well, honestly, in general, I'm not in social networks. I'm really low profile. So feel that I'm going to be popular, and I'll be known for some people because of your podcast is really interesting. So, well, if I say something that can help them, I'm really happy. If they want to know about my philosophical approach in the life or about my martial art training, I'm open to share that, because I think the thing that you share is the thing that you keep. If you don't share, you don't keep. So I'm really glad to share my knowledge or my experience, actually, with somebody else if they are interested. I don't know what to do with this big power in this moment. I'm really thinking. For sure, I will keep doing my stuff in the same way, and if somebody else want to contact me, I'm keen to help them.
It's okay when you wouldn't change something or wouldn't do something differently. It's absolutely okay to say it like this. Yeah, if it's you, great. Thank you.
Yeah.
And you also mentioned that you think financial education is very important at school. So what would you advise someone else if you would get hold of, like, let's say 15,000 New Zealand dollars? What would you tell someone to do with that money? Like, would you invest it? Would you like just spend it? Would you what advice would you give someone if they say like, oh, I've just found like $15,000 and I can keep it? So what should you do?
Well, if you don't know to invest, you don't need to know everything in the life, but you can contact an investment manager who can help you invest the 15,000. Otherwise, if you have your ideas clear, you probably are going to invest something in some material things, but also in some education. Get some courses or something that you want to learn or improve yourself, or maybe have some spiritual retire. In my case, probably will take some courses. Now, all of the courses are online, relating with the thing I'm working, with climate change or with data science, and I'm learning to use some software. But depends on what you're doing. But I would say the best thing that you can do is take the money, put in the bank or somewhere that is safe, and wait at least 2 or 3 weeks. If you can wait 1 month and then decide what to do with the money, but don't spend in the first week. Try to think literally about that, what to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, great. Thank you very much. So if there are any questions from our listeners and they want to contact you, is it okay? Do you want to share, I don't know, your email address, your social media accounts, or should they contact us if they have further questions to any topic you talked about today?
Oh, yes. I think it is fine. You can put my email there, or they can contact you and then you can forward the question. Both ways are fine for me.
Okay, we decide this afterwards if they should contact us. I think it's very valuable what like all the things you said, and I mean I learned from you how, like, not of course I'm just like a really novice, or how do you say, like a beginner in this Barao Sukbo, but I remember the times when we were practicing in the garden and you had the knife and the neighbors were looking out of their windows and think like, why is this guy attacking the other guy in the garden with a knife like every day? It's so weird. But it was so, like, I learned so much from you so far. We both did, and we're looking forward to see you again soon. And also thank you very much for like this information you gave us about fasting. It was really inspiring, and I learned a lot too. We both learned a lot from this, so it is very interesting, and we hope that our guests get something out of this too. So yeah, thank you very much for your time. Time is precious, even if you say you have a lot of it now, but we know you have a lot to study. So thank you very, very much for your time. And we say goodbye from our side.
Yeah, and we wish you all the best for the upcoming months and years. You don't know what will happen in the future, you said, but yeah, we wish you that it will come like you want and that you feel good with it. Thank you, Miguel.
And if you have any final words, there's now the time for it. We say goodbye from our side.
Okay. No, I just look forward to see you guys face to face. Have some training with you, Ben. Have some nice meal all together. Now I'm learning to cook in Italian vegan food because my girlfriend, she's vegan. So next time that we meet, I will cook something vegan for you guys. We are going to cook something vegan. So just looking forward to see you again.
All right. Thank you very much, Miguel.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye. See ya.
Thank you very much for listening to this interview with Miguel from Chile, living in New Zealand.
For more information about our project and our services we are offering, have a look on our website www.unpopularpeople.com.
See you again soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.